through traditional financial institutions, are if there is a financial issue of sorts, they go straight into receivership. So we have about 6 companies right now that are experiencing that and working through those channels. Fortunately, Common Citizen, we hunkered down and we're surviving the storm, and relatively well, actually. Contributing factors to that is, I believe, a very rampant illicit market that we do still have here in the state of Michigan, as well as a bit of a surge in the number of growers. As an evolving industry, there was certainly an uptick of folks that were coming on board, and I think we're starting to see some of the market naturally stabilize just based on economic supply and demand. What's been happening at the state level with regards to the discrepancy in the price and such a significant drop is, in the last year, we have received a new director that oversees the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. So Director Brisboe has stepped aside, and we now have Director Brian Hanna. And his major emphasis, or his focus right now, is on enforcement, really making sure that there is not illicit product getting mixed into the legal market. And we have seen action. He has put his money where his mouth is. We have seen operators lose their licenses. We've seen them shut down. He is out there in full force, and he means business. He is not going to tolerate any shenanigans. So that's a really positive thing for the industry. We're very glad to have Brian Hanna on board. We're pleased with what we're seeing in his execution and his roles and responsibilities. The other item that he's tackling is an amendment to the administrative rules. The rules are kind of what govern the industry and tell us, what parameters we're allowed to operate within. One of the items that he is looking at enforcing or including within the rules is GMP, which is Good Manufacturing Practices. Common Citizen right now is the only cannabis company in the state of Michigan that I'm aware of. We already are GMP certified. There's some other certifications that you can get, some ISO certifications, various certifications that are through the agricultural industry or through a manufacturing type industry, but GMP is the bar. That's the standard that we want to be at, and I believe it looks like Director Hanna is in agreement with that, because he's looking at incorporating that into a timeline to achieve that for all cannabis companies here in Michigan. Lots of the bulletins that the agency will issue, those are coming through into a more enforceable form, being incorporated into the administrative rules. So a little bit of activity going on with that. Not much legislative activity happening. It's all kind of behind the scenes in the department, but all very good things that we're seeing from the agency, and we're excited for what the next few years might roll out. Federally speaking, safe banking, if you're all familiar, it's the act that would allow cannabis industry to participate in the financial industry as a business, really a legal business. The Safe Banking Act has passed the House, and it's currently sitting with the Senate, and Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing. He is encouraging support for this go around. The Safe Banking Act has been in discussion or up and down, and it's probably been about 7 or 8 years now, and it doesn't seem to get passed. This is looking promising where we stand right now, and I think Chuck Schumer supporting that will be a big help. I did read today that he needed 9 of the GOP members to kind of cross party lines and keep this a bipartisan bill, and it sounds like he has gotten commitment from the 9 that he needed. So the last remaining issue in the Safe Banking Act is Section 10, which this section provides. It is creating a new parameter that would provide notice to an account holder if their account is going to be closed. And there's some back and forth within the congressional members as to whether or not these account holders should be given notice or if it should just be an immediate effect and their account is closed. So kind of outside of the parameters of cannabis, in the sense Section 10 is enforcing an account to be shut down, doesn't have to necessarily be cannabis. So there's a few red flags, and the House and Urban, oh gosh, what is it? The Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee is meeting the 17th through the 28th of this month to kind of hash that out and see what they can come to an agreement on. So as an industry, there is a lot happening. We're anticipating a lot of really good things coming out of it. Now shifting over to Lapeer, let's see, she's probably still another 10 minutes out. So if you don't mind, I will do my best to give my Just Jackson update as to what we've done here for the city and within the city. One of the items that we did do throughout the holidays is during Thanksgiving, we offered a promotion where if you donated a can of food, you would get a free pre-roll. We were able to donate 2 tons of canned and dry goods to a local food pantry for this effort. We did do a Toys for Tots fundraiser at the store, also bringing in, she didn't put how much in here. So we had a Toys for Tots drive. We have sponsorship of local events via our community engagement budget. Recently, we've participated in bike nights and Lapeer Days, as well as the Imlay City Fair. We also, within our stores, every location that we have, it's not just our stores, our employees are given a bank of volunteer time that they can, it's 50 hours that they receive annually paid, and they can use that time to go volunteer their time within the community. So we actively encourage, we look for events within the community. If there's any coming up, please reach out to us. We're happy to put that call into our employees to see who we can get out, boots on the ground to be in the community, volunteering and giving back here. We also do a substance abuse education and partnering with we have an employee who is actively engaged in these sorts of events or groups, if you will. So we are partnering with her and segueing in an educational component to cannabis through various substance abuse channels to educate and inform. So I apologize that the give back, because that was really the highlight. I wasn't the highlight, but we've been doing quite a bit in the community. Our general manager, Leif Amori, if you're familiar, he's a wonderful guy. Really, really loves Lapeer. He gets out here, and I think his favorite is bike nights. Yeah. He likes bike nights. But so the intent, we renewed our license last month, and so this is kind of a cadence for us to at least just come in, reacquaint ourselves with you, and give you a quick update as to what we're doing in the community. If there's anything that we need to be aware of, this by all means, I'm the contact. Let us know if there's anything that we should be doing, need to be doing. You could use our help for. We're happy to get engaged and involved in any capacity that you need. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, now I can call in the public. Would you like to come up to the podium? Whoever wants to speak, just raise your hand after.
Melissa Beecher, Lincoln Street. I just would like to open prayer. Lord, thank you for every person here tonight. Thank you that you are a good Father that we can come to and ask whatever is on our heart. You already know it, but Lord, we love to hear from your children. So I ask that you would bless every person here tonight, that they would open themselves to you, give their worries to you, give their concerns to you. Lord, give them peace. I thank you for our police force and our fire department. Lord, they've been very busy lately. You hear all the sirens lately, and thank you for all of them. I pray their continued safety. Thank you for all the people that work for our city, that love our city. We pray that you'll continue to have your hand on the government of this city as they make decisions for all the people that live here. work here, play here, trade here, as my mom would say. So Lord, I just pray that you'd be with this meeting tonight, that you could have your hand upon it, that your Holy Spirit would remain here and fill it. Thank you, Lord, that where two or more are gathered, you are there. I'm grateful that you are my Father, that I can come to you, and I give you all the praise. I pray all this in your precious Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Gentlemen, in blue shirt, please come up to the podium. Just state your name and city for our clerk for the record.
Jeremy King. Good evening. I have one statement that somebody with my neighbor with scheduling conflict had, and he prepared and wanted me to present to you guys. Should I read it or submit it to you?
You can read it as long as it stays within the 3-minute comment, and
Okay.
then if you have extra copies, you can pass it out to the clerk.
Okay.
Our city clerk will give it to us.
All right. And hopefully my statement gets separate consideration because I don't want to take up too much time, but otherwise I'd like to.
So normally if your friend or neighbor wants to show up, they can get the public comment with their 3 minutes of time.
Okay. I could just submit the paper then, so that we can save time. All right, very good. I'm going to read because it's easier for me.
No problem.
I don't speak in public often, so this is helpful for me. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to respond to the proposed public improvement and the proposed special assessment district. My name is Jeremy Hing, my wife and I are homeowners at Lot 66, Andrews River Estates, number 2, 312 Old Farm Lane. Regarding the necessity for the proposed public improvement project to finish the construction of the public roads within Andrews River Estate number 2, we affirm our agreement and request prioritization due to the extreme length of time that the roads have remained incomplete. Regarding the matter of the proposed special assessment district to help fund said project, we oppose and humbly request that the City Commission reconsider its funding approach based on the explanation provided here. We understand that the development of Andrews River Estate number 2 began in 2002. We also know that the Department of Public Works possesses original documentation which indicates that the original developer was to be held 100% responsible for the completion of the road after the completion of construction. Now, it is unclear as to the definition of completed construction. For example, completed construction could mean only the project approved for the developer in 2002 or completion of construction of all possible future projects. Therefore, I have submitted a Freedom of Information request pursuant to Act 442 for the appropriate documents that would bring clarity to this matter, not that the definition of complete in any way abdicates the developer's responsibility. Additionally, no adequate documentation has been furnished concerning this matter, nor the documentation was, however, the documentation was shown to me in person when I was at the Department of Public Works myself. On July 12th, I filed another request for a copy of City Manager's investigation warranting the necessity of the special assessment, which I just received moments prior to the meeting. I'm not sure that it is a proper report as described in the city's code, but within it, there's strings of emails, photos, and some of that might be useful, but I feel as I thumbed through it last minute, it doesn't support the use of a special assessment for this project based on context, and context is everything regarding this matter. Allow me to explain the context as I understand it a bit further. It appears that the responsibility of performance was not kept by the developer and that it was the responsibility of the municipality to ensure that it was upheld according to Chapter 6 of the General Ordinances of City, which establishes the right and responsibility of the city to enforce completion and compliance of subdivision construction.
Time is up. Can you wrap it up now?
Yes, I can. I'll just flip past that because that can be looked at once the documentation is available. It's plainly evident that the top asphalt layer was never constructed after the original developer had finished its construction. With these roads existing without a top course of asphalt for over 20 years, the integrity of the sublayer has been compromised and likely deteriorated quickly than it would have. The function of water runoff has never worked as intended due to the absence of top course of asphalt, contributing to premature degradation and leading to substandard situations. We have standing water in our streets after every storm. Most recently, the subdivision has undergone new construction, which should be viewed in light of the general ordinances, which allows for bonds to assure that the public right-of-way is consistently maintained at all times and provide for payment for damages, which the recent developer placed heavy equipment and dumpsters in the right-of-way, which incurred substantial damages, which I believe are inside of the city manager's report, which I
Do
just saw
have that.
as well.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You can, if you have an additional copy, could.
Yeah, I
You're
can
welcome to give it
submit,
to
I
our
can submit a
public
signed,
clerk, and then
Yep.
we'll be able to.
I can submit a signed copy of this as well, as the signed copy from my neighbor as well.
Thank you. So we do have to limit everybody to 3 minutes.
Yeah, no problem, I understand.
Not sure.
Clarification of public hearing. Clarification of public hearing. Public comment, is this part of?
This is
hearing
public,
or-
this is public comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wanting to make sure we're in the right.
That everybody in the room knows, because
This
they're-
is public comment, and I will call on each, whoever wants to speak, one at a time. For 3 minutes.
I think
But
we
this gentleman
should speak
here-
So,
So there's gonna be a hearing in the future, correct?
There will be,
So Madam Mayor, if I could maybe bring some light, which I think Mr. Shore is trying to get to. So there are 2 different types of hearings. There's the public comment, which citizens can get up and talk about whatever they want to for 3 minutes. And then we will have a separate specific hearing related to this particular issue, which, they can do one or the other if they prefer. Sometimes people only want to talk about the specific issue, but they technically could do public comment at this time.
yeah, I guess that's what I had addressed. Don't want to exclude anybody from speaking, but if, there will be the public hearing as well.
Can they do both? Or-
They can do both.
They can do both,
So when is the public hearing gonna be?
further down the agenda.
Same meeting.
Yes.
Melissa Rogers, I'm giving him my 3 minutes so he can continue his speech.
You don't do that.
Or just wait for the hearing
Just wait for the
and
hearing.
down the agenda.
I thought that's what this was.
Right.
No, this is public comment. We're just beginning our meetings. We haven't gotten to the majority of the agenda. Anybody else want to make a comment at this time? Okay, well then we'll move on to the rest of our agenda to get to, we're at the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Support.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Catine and supported by Commissioner Stroh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Bill listing.
Make a motion to approve the bill listing for July 17, 2023 in the amount of $761,122.73.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catine and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion regarding? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yep.
Sorry.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Catine,
Yes.
Commissioner Pattison,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Madam Clerk, I'm blaming you for that one. Go fast next time.
I didn't mark my agenda. It's my fault. I know it's financial decisions. Okay, now we are back officially to a public hearing. So I will open this public hearing. I will now open it up for public hearing, and I will call on this gentleman here.
Jamie Spivey, I live at 40 Old Farm Court. So with the paving, I guess the question is, why the builder wasn't held accountable? Why the other builder that came in wasn't held accountable? And I guess my answer on you're milling down, you're pulverizing the road, and you're gonna take out 6 inches, bring back in 6 inches of stone, and then put in 5 inches of HMI. If you're pulverizing is gonna be the same as keeping the stone there. You pulverize the road, you grade it out, you roll it, you compact it, no difference. So that would save money. But like I said, why aren't these builders held responsible for that? And the new builder was putting dumpsters in places, in cul-de-sacs and stuff where trucks are turning around and tearing up the road. So I guess that's my question is, I do this for a living. So pulverizing and then pulling out that stone and bringing in new stone, and is this going out for other bids or who got the bid?
Well, I'm new here, forgive me. But normally councils don't respond to questions. This is the time for the public to make their comments, which they're entitled to do. But it's normally the council's policy not to address these things. These things are normally addressed in the city manager's office during work hours, because I don't have the building information. What I can tell you just from the past, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the builder went out of business. So I don't.
Okay, the first builder went out of business. Well, what did the city do for the second builder? Did they hold them accountable? Did they get bonds? Because you don't give bonds to the builder if the road is tore up and he's tearing up the road.
And if the council wants me to answer that question, the answer is I don't know.
Okay, so then I need to make a meeting with you and then the director of public works.
Generally during our public comments, I usually ask our city manager to
Okay.
respond back, whether that would be a phone call or whatever Mr. Womack's preference would be, but to get back with you, so that's usually
Yeah,
how we've done it in the past.
And then dividing that by, I think there was 27 homes or 30 homes, and some of them are partial. And then what is are we going 5 years, 10 years? What's the cost for that? It's 133,000 and like $9.07 or something, divided by,
I believe the
There's-
special assessment figures
what?
will be at our next meeting. Correct?
36
I was gonna say, I thought there was 20, I thought I
Okay,
counted
so
30.
we don't talk amongst each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, well, okay, so, sorry.
But I believe that the special assessments will be, of what each person is going to have to pay will be at the
So
next meeting.
So the way these things work is today's hearing is really only about whether this is a necessary project or not.
Okay.
I understand most people in this room are gonna wanna talk about the cost of the project, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So we're only talking about whether it's necessary or not. The assessor has developed a preliminary role of what we expect the cost to be, which is public information, I believe is available before the meeting. And I don't have those numbers in front of me. Then the second hearing will be at the next meeting, and that's where we'll talk about the cost.
Okay, and is there consideration on a different way of doing it? Like I said, if you're pulverizing a road and pulling out stone to bring in new stone, you pulverize and you leave that stone there, that's twice as better than you're gonna bring in.
I'm not an engineer, I'm not an asphalting guy, I just know that I have a Department of Public Works and engineers who work for me, who made the determination about how to do it, and then.
Well, I think that needs to be looked at a little better then.
So,
Mr. Womack will definitely,
so
get that.
just please get a hold of me after this meeting.
No problem.
is there anybody else who would like to? I think this way over here would be next.
Hi, my name is Donna Whittier. I live on Old Carriage Lane. I'll be honest with you, I'm a senior. I feel like this is the city against me. I'm very nervous about what this is going to cost me because again, I live on a senior budget. And I don't know how the procedure goes. I was hoping tonight, and I don't know if you'll talk about it more, how this procedure works, when we really know how much money it will, I know it will be approximate, will cost each of us, how we will have to pay for this. And I do want this board or whoever makes this decision needs to keep in mind about where times are now for something expensive like this. I was very surprised when I read your little pamphlet saying how the money doesn't come from our taxes and stuff like that. I'm glad this gentleman educated me a little bit more about what's happening. I was just told that there was an escrow of money set aside for this second phase of paving to have. So I'm just asking all of you that we need to have a simple information of how to handle this, when we should be speaking, and what to do, because we do want you to hear us. And I'm just nervous. On my street alone, half of us are all seniors, and I know the new development has a lot of young people, young families, and it's a concern. It's a lot of money, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize for going over time earlier. I don't understand, just like she said, the way that these things work. Had I known that there was an opportunity to actually be heard a little bit longer and maybe even ask a question like this gentleman did, then I would have waited. I would have just got up and said, I object, but I want to be heard later. And that would be fine. I'm sorry for knowing that policy.
I should have explained more detail.
The gist of what I was unable to complete is, if I can sum it up and go off script, because maybe that'll save some time, is really just that I understand, I heard you say that the original developer went out of business. And that's hard to hear, because it feels like because we didn't take action as a city, as a municipality, when we ought to have, it's been a 20-year process in that subdivision that, now we have to take it on the chin as new homeowners. And in terms of the special assessment, I don't understand everything. Maybe our new city manager, Mike Womack, has some things he can teach us on, and I'd be happy to go to his office and find out more about how special assessments work in the state of Michigan. But I do also understand that there's case law that have been developed that basically stipulates that special assessments have to meet a certain criteria of benefit to the property that is being assessed, that benefit includes an increase of property value. I'm not quite sure how completing a road that was never finished in the first place is going to increase my property value. And that it also has to be a benefit that the rest of the general public does not participate in. And I kind of feel like the rest of the general public is receiving the benefit of a fully paved road where there's proper water runoff. There's not damage by a dumpster from a previous developer. Yeah, there's potholes on streets, but you know what? They have a top layer and we don't. So right now I feel that we're actually behind the general public in respects of receiving that benefit that I just don't see that we're receiving a benefit that the general public is not receiving. I wonder if maybe this could be included in general taxes as opposed to a special benefit, if that better suits the situation, considering that the developer went out of business. Because again, we're taking on the chin for something that should have been someone else's responsibility. And so I wonder if we can spread that responsibility around a little better. And then, yes, I think I share the same concern that I'd like to hear about the terms. How long can we spread it across if it does come down that we have to have some type of assessed tax, and what that means to us, because some of us are just trying to figure out what that means to our finances.
I understand.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else before I move on, before I close the public hearing? Okay, hearing none. Public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to the rest of our agenda. Which is a necessity.
So this is administrative report.
This is the administrative part.
Do we have to finish F1?
We have to make a motion. Continue.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution number 3 to determine the project necessary and order the preliminary roll prepared regarding the Andrew River Estates number 2 Special Assessment District 2023-01.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Stroh.
Yeah, Mayor, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Mr. Catane, is your motion based upon the evidence that was presented to you by city staff regarding the condition of the roads?
Yes, and my own
Observation.
of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any discussion from the commission? Mr. Atwood.
Just for what exactly does this motion do so the kind of general public understands?
So as I said at the outset, today's hearing is really about the necessity of the project, not the cost of the project. And, I've driven through this neighborhood, I'm sure everyone up here has. It's been detailed in reports from the Department of Public Works. There's some pictures that were included in previous packets that you guys have seen. The road's in horrible condition. There are places where it's not even asphalt anymore, it's dirt coming up out of the ground. And I understand what the citizens are saying, and they're not wrong. This was done 21 years ago, long before I was here, long before you guys were sitting up here. It's unfortunate that we're being put into this unfortunate position to have to deal with it. But the road was never completed. And again, I understand the developer, walked away and went out of business, and you can't go after them. And I understand that the citizens feel like they're taking on the chin. To a little extent, they are. I've read the same rules and case law that the gentleman has read about benefit and everything else. And I know it's not a popular statement, but I believe what the city is proposing to do is fair, especially in comparison to other communities. The assessment, I believe, that's being proposed here is that the city is paying for 70% of the value, and the citizens are being assessed 30% of the value. There's a ton of communities out there that do 100% taxpayer share, not 30%. So the city is putting $305,000 into a $436,000 project, and it's being spread out over a 10-year period. So the citizens with full lot access to this project are paying approximately, and this is estimated, $3,600 over a 10-year period. It's about as fair as I think I've ever seen for a special assessment. So I know it's not popular, it's not a fun thing to pay taxes or special assessments, but the road needs to be done. It's probably an inch or two short from where it should have been back 21 years ago, and it's just the road's in horrible condition. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
So if we approve this motion, it's not necessarily approving the project itself.
So what the council is proposing to do is clear that it is necessary and then ask the assessor to come up with the actual specific assessment dollars that are expected. I'm not sure if there's still movement left on the actual proposed cost of the project, because I don't know if it's been bid out or not, or if that's just an estimated cost. But it's one of those things. The drain districts are the same thing. It doesn't matter what it costs if your entire neighborhood is flooding, right? You have to fix the flooding; it's necessary. And then only after you determine that you have to fix the flooding, or the roads in this case, you go and look at the cost of the project. So there will be a second opportunity for the citizens to have the proposed cost of the project and their assessment, which we have preliminary numbers, which I just indicated. And I believe it's at the next meeting. Is that correct? 8/7? August 21st. So we'll have another hearing similar to this hearing, where citizens will have the opportunity to come back in and discuss the cost of the project as well.
So once we get a final guesstimate, will the residents be sent that number?
I believe I'm not sure if we have to send them the number. We do have to tell them about the hearing. And of course, the number would be publicly available at other means. I'm not sure we have to specifically send them that number.
So they could look it up at our website.
Correct. And of course, city staff would be happy to provide them the information to call or email as well.
So then they could do the math, it'll cost me this much a year if the city commission does approve this project.
So I believe, like I said, the
3,000.
initial estimate.
I'm just trying to help.
Should be 300
approximately. Yeah, it's going to be probably $180 to $360 per year over a 10-year period.
And that would be, you pay it monthly. Correct? Or
Well,
you pay
your
Yeah, it would be tied into your taxes.
Not that.
Stroh?
Not that amount monthly, it's only 180, my understanding, $180 to $360 annually.
Right.
If the resident or property owner wanted to amortize that cost over a monthly basis, they could. So it would be roughly
360 divided by 12, $30 a month.
$30 a month.
Two points to go on that. For homeowners who have a mortgage that pays your taxes, what does that mean? That means come the springtime when your mortgage company takes a look at this and, hey, if it's $360 a month or $360 a year, okay, then hey, you're looking at, hey, your house payment's gonna go up 25 to 35 bucks for the next 10 years. That's what the true negative impact is going to be. A side note, I'm just as angry as you all that your road didn't get done correctly. I live across the street from you. I've seen many of your homes get built in the last 5 years, thinking to myself, okay, hey, they're building homes in Andrew Estates again. Somebody's going to pave it. And then, lo and behold, we get to our budget meeting for this year, and you guys are smack dab right in the middle of it. We did not want to talk about Andrew Estates this year. We, as you know, being residents here, we have lots of roads that need some TLC in the town. And whomever, whatever, I'm sure there are plenty of people to blame. Who those people are, we'll find them later. We need to get that road done in your neighborhood right. It will degrade if we don't do it well. You know, the curb cuts, and if we allow the flooding to happen, it's going to degrade your front yards. It's going to degrade everything else. So I'm not thrilled that this was on our agenda for the year at all, but it needs to get done. So, and it's not a joyful thing. So.
Okay, so are there any more comments on the motion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
4 to 1. Motion's carried. Okay, administrative reports.
So I believe the administrative report is the preliminary rule that we're in.
Yeah, it's to adopt a resolution accepting the preliminary rule and setting a public hearing for August 21st. Need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to adopt the resolution number 4, accepting the preliminary rule and setting a public hearing for August 21st, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as may be heard regarding the same, Andrews River Estates number 2 Special Assessment District number 2023-01.
Support. Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Patterson. Is there discussion on this motion?
Again, just for clarification purposes.
This motion is to adopt the resolution before to accept the preliminary rule and setting a public hearing for August 21st, so that the paperwork can be drawn up on the exact figures of what this is probably close, but we don't know for sure. Exact cost.
But it's the process in which we
It's the
must
process,
follow
right.
in order to set a public hearing so that we can hear from people in a formal environment. And we are looking at accepting the preliminary role or the preliminary findings of our department heads as to what the possible cost of this is to roll it out or present it to public for public hearing. That is my understanding, correct?
You are correct. Are you good? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion still carried, 4 to 1. Okay, then we have the Lapeer Optimist Club.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize the Lapeer Optimist Club to use the city sidewalks in Cedar Street north of Nipissing Street for their beer tent on Friday, August 18th, 2023 through Sunday, August 20th, 2023.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Cotain and supported by Commissioner Swindle. Is there discussion regarding this? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Then we have the next one is the 2023 to 2024 property and liability insurance renewal.
I make a motion to approve Peterson, McGregor and Associates for the City of Lapeer's property and liability insurance at a cost of $227,719 for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and authorize the city manager to sign all required documents.
I need support.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Cotain. And roll call, please. Oh, Commissioner Atwood, you have roll call.
Yeah, I would just like to, yeah, sorry. I would just like to say that we do have coverage for volunteers. And I think we need to work on the opportunity for people to get involved and actually do volunteer work within the city. Because that is something we added specifically for, to cover volunteers while they're doing projects with us and stuff. So if they're getting injured or whatever. So this is something I'd like to.
Is there something particularly wrong?
No, when we did the Lapeer City Superheroes, I believe we added that. If I remember
Did they help
correctly.
with the future?
No, this is on the beer tent. This is
This is
We're on the
property and
liability
liability
insurance.
insurance.
Oh, on that, to add them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that there is it looks like an additional cost to cover volunteers. I mean, I do have somebody who has said they're interested in helping run the group. So,
That's under that discussion. We had another time, but would any volunteers within the city, I guess, be under this is for the property liability insurance renewal, granting this company at a certain dollar figure.
Yeah, I think he's saying that
Yeah.
under the coverage that we do have, that we provide some kind of insurance coverage for volunteerism in the city. And I guess my question is there volunteer activities that I'm not aware of that we're not covering? Or do we need to do more volunteer activities?
well, when we discuss the youth council, we can talk about that. So I just wanted to make note that there is that.
Which would be on another agenda.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
I know I made the motion, but thank you for bringing conversation into this. My understanding is that our property and liability insurance, being a municipality, and this would also cover really anybody who's doing any type of work for liability and or coverage if somebody was injured or property was damaged, correct?
Well, I mean, insurance companies wouldn't see it that way. But it does provide broad coverage for various things. Now, of course, so for instance, if we had volunteers go out and pick up garbage along the side of the road, we couldn't encourage them to walk down the center of the road, because that would obviously be a stupid thing to do. And they probably wouldn't cover us if we told people to do that.
Right.
So if we took basic, safety measures and kept people safe, that part of volunteerism is slightly covered. But just about every activity we do talk to our insurance carrier and make sure it's covered before we do that type of thing. I thought you guys were going to ask about the slight increase this year over last year, which is a result, I think, of the cyber coverage that we have this year. It is shocking the number of other communities who've had their internal data held hostage. And I've seen municipalities pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to rescue their own data. So we've started taking some more proactive measures to protect all of our internal data that we do. And I thought that's what you guys were going to ask about.
Curveball. Okay,
Sorry.
there was a motion on the floor. The question was asked, so Is there any further discussion? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
No.
Yeah, back to that.
Commissioner
My
Katain.
fault.
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson.
Yes.
Commissioner Strong.
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
And for the public's benefit, I asked them to make that change and they're just not
I'm
used
still
to it
getting
yet,
used to
so. that's
On a
on-
roll here.
That's on me, and I appreciate you taking the
Okay. Downtown area, right-of-way license. Commissioner Patterson put his hand up.
Make a
Right.
motion to approve the right-of-way license for Hernandez Mexican Food at 4 East Nipissing Street until November 15th, 2023.
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion regarding this motion?
So I don't know if the city does this on a renewing basis, or is this something that we kind of expect to send it permanent?
In the past,
Every
it's
year.
been every year
Chair.
unless it's a permanent
Sure.
enclosed completely.
Okay, in that case, I just have a comment. The mayor and I ate at Hernandez the other day, it
Yes.
was delicious,
That's great.
wonderful tacos. I'm looking forward to being able to sit outside on these picnic tables, which they had right there in the front, in the foyer.
They're in the boxes.
They're
They
right-
do have a larger table and a couple other small little booths in there currently. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, in your packet, you have reviewed the legal services representation agreement with Fletcher, Michael, Shudi, and Francis PC. Commissioner Katain.
Make a motion to approve the legal services representation agreement between Fletcher, Felco, Shudi, and Francis PC and the city of Lapeer, and authorize the city manager to sign the necessary documentation.
Support.
Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Katain and supported by Commissioner Stroh. It doesn't say that. Yes, it does. It says it's a roll call, so. Somebody,
Commissioner Patterson.
Yes.
Commissioner Strong.
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Commissioner Katain.
Yes.
motion carries. Okay. The next one is the charitable gaming license.
I make a motion to adopt the local governing body resolution for charitable gaming licenses for the pregnancy center of Lapeer.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Is there discussion? Hearing none. This is not money. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, community center water heater replacement.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal for professional service to Clemente Siegel Design, CSD, for architectural and engineering services for the community center hot water heater boiler replacement project not to exceed $27,600, and authorize Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cemetery to sign necessary documents.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there discussion on this motion?
So, as you guys know, the Director of Parks and Rec is still recovering from getting married a couple weeks ago, so that's why he's not here tonight. But he did ask me to speak on this. He indicated that this is for the engineering services related to the installation of the hot water boiler replacement. And it's the firm that did the last engineering project there, so they still have all, the documentation and all the building specs. So I indicated to him, since it's a specialized engineering project and they're familiar with the building, that I recommend that they be approved for this.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Strong.
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Commissioner Katain.
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we are in front of the agenda for our city manager's report, so Mr. Womack, would you please give us your report?
Yes, thank you. So again, I'm still trying to get in the swing of things. I'd like to provide more information on the agenda so you guys know what I'm going to talk about, but there's lots of stuff that kind of comes up at the last second I want to talk about. So youth council, that was something that was brought to me after the agenda was made. I didn't know if we wanted to discuss that now. Mr. Stroh, I know you have some thoughts on it. Or is that something you want to have a more full-blown discussion at the next meeting?
I think we need to have it as a full-blown discussion on the next meeting and not just a topic. I think it deserves its full attention.
Okay, so I'll put that down for the next agenda. Also, I've been trying to keep you guys in the loop regarding parking lot number 5, also known as Choice One Bank parking lot, also known as the Amber Park Bank parking lot, et cetera, et cetera. Worked out a deal with Roe to do the topographic analysis and wetland delineation on that property. It's estimated to cost about $10,000, I believe. So I couldn't remember what my spending limit was, Ms. Hannah, and I didn't have a chance to talk about that today. So if it's something I can approve of, I think approve it and move forward, otherwise I'll come back to the next agenda. Similarly, the parking lot study, I've asked Roe to look into that for us. It's estimated to be about, I think, $4,500. I think there's some possibilities of movement on development in the downtown, and I'd like to have a good understanding of how much of the downtown parking is being utilized, where people are parking, how many parking spaces we have, what days and times of the week parking is most full, et cetera, et cetera. Similarly, I'm not sure if I'll bring it back to you guys for approval or if it's something I can approve on my own. Mr. Parker, Madam Mayor, thank you for speaking with him. He's currently on deployment, so we were prepared to appoint him today, but I think we put him on the agenda for the next meeting. So I think he'll make a great addition to the board. As Mr. Hagedorn indicated, I've been working with the county staff and the DDA regarding the social district expansion. Current draft is to have the social district from, I believe, Mason Street all the way to Saginaw Street along Nipissing. And while the current plan is not to include the county pavilion or the lawn, I understand that people may take their beverages and go utilize those spaces anyways. So the county's been great to work with on that issue. DDA has it. I believe the DDA is going to present to their board for review recommendation back to this board. So you can see that as early as your next meeting. City attorney, spoke with them. We've been working together on some of the outstanding legal issues that the city has in the transfer from the old city attorney. They've been great to work with so far. Unfortunately, he was busy, couldn't make it to today's meeting. Hopefully it's your next meeting or the meeting after. Genesee Street lane closures, that's going to be a doozy. I'm working with both police department and fire department and city engineer on that issue. Current plan is to have 2 lanes open for local traffic only, but of course these things never go smoothly. So I am trying to sort that out, keeping my fingers crossed on that one. Number 9, a joint meeting. I did hear some word from the planning commission at our last meeting about their dissatisfaction about the chosen location for that. So we're currently looking at the downstairs meeting rooms at the community center. I think that's a good alternative location.
What location was selected?
This room,
So we can still.
which I think technically meets the requirements for a number of people per the fire code, but it's a more of a spread out meeting. So I believe the downstairs meeting rooms, they have 125-ish capacity. We're expecting 40-ish people to attend. So that meeting is a meeting of the various city boards. We'll have an educational component, probably regarding Floyd and Oma. We'll do some brainstorming sessions about the future of the city, and I'll do my standard routine. And then number 10, we have a new building official. Still in the room. Thank you for staying to this point. So this is yet another Mike in the room. I believe that's many of our staff named Mike.
That's 10.
It's at least 15. Yeah. So he had, I'm sure, a very busy first day. working with both myself and Tracy and Marlena to get caught up, and I'm sure it'll be a great addition to the city as well.
Welcome.
Thank you. That's all I got for right now.
Okay.
Well, we still have a few appointments to our boards and commissions, and under mayor appointment, I'll take one at a time, I guess, here. The Fair Housing Committee, I would like to appoint Lisa Bly. She's actually has served on this board before, so this will be a renewal, and I need two approvals from the commission to do so.
I support the nomination or the recommendation for Lisa Lai to be renewed on the Lapeer Housing Commission. Support. Do we need to do the expiration of the term? Thank you.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stowe and supported by Commissioner King. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The next one is Lapeer Neighborhoods, Inc. And I'll do all three. All three are renewals. They've been on this board before. That's Carrie Roberts, Lisa Lai, and Robin Chestnut.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint or renew the membership to Harry Roberts, Lisa Lai, and Robin Chestnut to the Lapeer Neighborhood Incorporated with an expiration of term on August 1st, 2025.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stowe and supported by Commissioner Kintate. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, then on the planning commission, I would like to appoint Austin Kelly and Douglas Roberts, ending term August 1st, 2026. Commissioner Petz.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Austin Kelly and Douglas Roberts to the planning commission expiring August 1st, 2026.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Discussion. Okay, hearing none.
Thanks for serving.
Yes, thanks for.
Thanks
There
for
you
coming.
go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you for serving on these boards, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Okay, now we are back to public comments, and if anybody else would like to make a public comment, just raise your hand. You will have the same 3 minutes. And after questions, you'll actually be, our city manager, Mr. Womack, will get back to you.
I just have a comment since I didn't know the youth council wasn't on the agenda, but since it was brought up, I would just like to give you another, I know you guys are really,
And also,
I know you guys are looking
Because there's no
into
speaker there.
government for tomorrow pretty heavily. I just would like to give you another teen group called teenpact.com, TEENPACT.com. Very involved in government, gets kids involved, so if you're going to consider seriously government for tomorrow, I'd like you to at least preview teenpact.com. Very interesting, great group, and just for your consideration, that'd be great for the city.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We will move on then to closing comments. And I'm gonna switch. Mr. Stark.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I know that this is a confusing process, and we, as a commission and also city, we need to do a better job letting you know how this process happens. And it isn't simple, and oftentimes many of us that are seated here are used to it, but we have to understand that when you're a regular citizen, we don't understand how the process works. And as a resident, I've sat in meetings equally frustrated, also trying to figure out what the process is on whether it's the zoning committee or the planning committee. And so I would urge that we, do a better job educating our community on how the process works so that there aren't misunderstandings, hurt feelings, frustrations. It's a frustrating situation to begin with, and we need to make it as open and communicative and easy as possible. So these are difficult topics and they're not easy decisions to make. We want the best for our community. And so I just urge that the rest of us on this dais also make an effort to help educate you or at least inform you as to what is needed or what is necessary, especially at a time when there are so many new developments taking place in our community within residential areas, whether it's the resurfacing or restructuring of a road or a development or proposition of a new condo or apartment community in a neighborhood of an existing neighborhood, like a phase 3 or 4 or 5. So it's equally frustrating. So I'm with you there. So thank you so much. Switching my hat to the cultural arts, we've had an amazing summer this year with many kids taking place in cultural art camps and programs around the city and the county. We just got done wrapping up the Lapeer Art Association Summer Youth Art Camp with 25 students with the support of Chatfield School and the Lapeer Art Association. They had a great time with a great exhibit, and that was fun. Emily City is also doing their youth theater program, a musical theater program of Mean Girls, and that will be opening in August. Stone's Throw Theater, my little sweet spot, has the youth theater program, musical theater youth program that is underway. We have a 3-week program that presents a show at the Lapeer High School end of June or July. The Center for the Arts also youth theater programs and also some amazing art programs. We have new installations of art murals downtown. Please take an opportunity to see the public art that's on display. It really is sort of refreshing, and it's a nice sort of uplifting to see some color except the side of a building. I think it's sort of refreshing. Just enjoy this summer. It seems like it's flying so fast. And stay safe with all the air quality concerns that we have. Just make sure that you're watching yourself and your neighbors. Thank you so much.
I agree with all of you in the room too. The city dropped the ball. Now we're mine to pay for it. That's not cool. None of us were here then. I can't go say, you know what, we should probably fire that guy because he didn't make them produce on the bond before he went out of business. So that's unfortunate as well. It's gone this long. It's a horrible situation to be in. But none of us made those decisions. None of us hired or fired any of the people from back then. Even the previous city manager, that he wasn't even here at that point, and he was here a long time. Maybe Mayor was when we built that stuff. Were you here then? But my heart bleeds for you because that is a horrible situation to be in, because it is not your fault. It's the city's fault because they didn't make him perform on the bond. They didn't call him out on it. I used to build and develop neighborhoods, and I get how it works. And it's just a terrible situation. And I would be up here just like you, definitely, for sure. Reach out to any of us if you have questions, you want to know more information. You can reach out to Mr. Womack. You can reach out to me if you have questions. I can get them to him. Don't come and go, if you have questions and you don't understand or whatever and you want it to be clearer, just ask us. We're pretty much all of us are easily accessible, and Mr. Womack is really good at giving that to people as well. On a happier note, disc golf pads are going in this weekend and baskets. It should be at least most of it playable by Monday, and I'm really excited about that. So that's it. You won't get a chance.
But I'm skipping back down to the other end. Commissioner Atwood.
Yeah, just in regards to the roads and the special assessment. I remember we did this, fact that we're right out here. And I remember Aileen Bennett always saying that I don't want to see people's taxes increase. And I don't want to see people's taxes increase either, especially when we're seeing inflation. And I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but this is a weird situation. And if we're saying that it's the city's fault, then you would almost have to say that the city should be covered. But again, that's just my thought process. And I do empathize with the public because it's like they don't understand how everything works. And so it's almost like they were thrown this thing, and it's no one's fault really. I mean, again, you guys said it down there that this was before our time, and now we have to deal with it. So, I mean, my opposition is not like, I know we need to fix the roads, and I would like to see other bigger roads that people travel on fixed. But it's, somehow we can postpone this until inflation comes down, and if that ever happens, that's just my opposition. But again, if a lot of the local residents in that area don't want it, they need to show up at the public hearing and, make sure you speak up and say, this is the reason why I oppose it, this is the reason why I'm for it. If you don't, I just want to encourage you that it's okay to speak your mind in a respectful manner and do it respectfully, which I'm not saying nobody here did that tonight. But if you don't speak up, then we're just under the assumption that the majority is okay with what I'm trying to say. So, the other thing is, just remember, and I know we made a resolution a few years back, July 30th is World Day Against Human Trafficking. It is one of the fastest growing criminal enterprises in the world, mainly because, you can sell drugs, which is a one-time thing. When you sell a human, you can hold on to that human for multiple years and sell them multiple times a year. And that is a sad reality that we live in. And I think we need to shine the light on that dark area. And it's sad to say that America or the United States is the #1 consumer in this. And I would just recommend going to see Sound of Freedom. It's a really good movie. It's a tearjerker for me just because it's based on a true story. And it's a story about the CEO of Operation Underground Railroad, how he was involved with our government and the task force to stop this. But he had an epiphany that you can stop child predators, but how many children, was he rescuing? And so he came to an ultimatum that our government doesn't allow our agencies to go across the country, to cross borders to rescue children. And he quit his job and started going across the borders and setting up stings and operations in other countries, capturing children, and basically setting us free. So we have actually more slaves than ever before this day and age, and that's a pretty sad thing. So that's it for me. Sorry, I'm off the soapbox.
Commissioner Joe.
I just want to echo the words of communication for the Andrew Estate residents that Commissioner Stroh was echoing. And based on the preliminary numbers that we all have, that you have, again, a person is looking at, if you want to break it down by the month, a person's looking at potentially $15 a month to $30 a month is what, if these numbers hold. We don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully they come in cheaper. Okay, it's always best to overestimate these things, and then reality comes in low. I am upset with you, for you. because this was buried for 20 years. I'm ticked. Why? And one of my mentors in life said, when you go looking for a finger to point, 3 fingers will point back at you. So we need to get it fixed, and there you go. On to a really big thing I want to share with everybody that's near and dear to my third hobby, which is being in the Kiwanis Club of Lapeer. The Kiwanis Club of Lapeer announced their all-inclusive park initiative that they're utilizing some property that from the city of Lapeer over at Roden Park, and it is a concept that the leadership of Kiwanis Club has been working on for 6.5 years. The concept of a child in a wheelchair can just roll up into a merry-go-round without assistance. A child who is autistic or has sensory deprivation can go and use some of this equipment and be at peace. Kids who are blind can go and, instead of looking at the other children who are playing on the regular playground, can actually play on this playground, and kids with disabilities and without can be together. And it is absolutely a beautiful concept. When I first heard about it some years ago, I thought, what's the price tag? You know, because I'm kind of a bit of a fancy here. Oh gosh, 1.5 million. Is that all? It's huge. It's going to be so good. So I encourage everybody to please look up the Kiwanis Club of Lapeer Facebook page. It's going to take several months or more for us to, crowdfund for this, but take a look at the pictures, go to the website, look at it yourself. Don't listen to me. My wife doesn't, so why should you? Go look at the website. It's just a gorgeous concept, and I hope the whole community can get behind it. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Patterson.
Well, everybody talked about the special assessment, so I can say will too.
Okay.
I understand it's frustrating, but what it really comes down to is the city doesn't have the funds to pay 100% of all the roads in the city. And your roads are going to be repaired and fixed. But the city's going to pick up 70% of the cost. And that's a good deal. It really is. So look at your roads when you go home. Do you want it? They're not going to get better. So you're going to have new roads. And this is really a decent deal because we don't have the money to replace it otherwise. A special assessment district works for everyone.
Mr. Womack, do you have anything?
Yeah, just briefly. So the community that I'm coming from, especially assessed at 100%. So the fact that this city only assesses at 30%, I think speaks loudly. Which I know it's not comforting to everybody, but from a pragmatic point of view, it's very fair. But I will contradict Mr. Atwood just a tiny bit. While we like people to show up, I'm in my office 50 hours a week. I've got a phone number and email address. I've got access to all sorts of information. I'm happy to chat with you to the extent that I can. I have tons of meetings all the time, but to the ability that I can, I love emails. I'm happy to respond that way. Plus, of course, I think people can be more articulate in the written word. No, not everybody's used to public speaking. I'm still not used to public speaking after many years of doing this. So I would encourage you to write emails and submit any paperwork you might have. That stuff goes to these people before the meetings. They get to read every single word. So I'd encourage you to, in addition to showing up, please send written comments ahead of time. Thank you. In 7 days ahead of time, please? Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry.
Today, what is your deadline for sending in comments so I can get into our packets? Is it like 7 days prior to a meeting?
Of course, she's joking because she's literally taking the minutes. Yes, so she's listening to everything.
Which in our meetings, just a refresher, our meetings are the first and third Monday of the month, so of each month, so 7 days prior to that would be great. Yeah, I have been here a few years, but your street, your subdivision area, this is not the first time that something similar like this has happened, I have to say. And somehow we get through it. I know that adding on extra money in our wallets, especially nowadays, but no time I don't think is really a good time. But the city is more than willing to work with everybody, like my concern already said. We'll do whatever we can, give you whatever information you need and support you as best as we can. I do have a few local events, just to bring up, that our Monday night car cruise with me, that continues from 5 to 9, every Monday through September 11th. Our farmers market continues every Wednesday and Saturday from 9 to 3, through October 25th. And that's in, behind Choice One Bay. The summer concert series, which is on Thursdays, that's from 6:30 to 8:30. I thought it was 8. 8:30? Okay. Maybe, the event will take place, at the Pocket Park until August 10th. And then, Friday night, Bike Nights, is June 2nd. And will continue most Fridays through September 8th, from 5 to 11. Except in your days, right?
No, yeah, it's not
not
on
on
days.
there, so,
Skip
but I think
days.
the rest of the time.
I have one thing I can add to it.
Right.
At the start of our meeting, we had 180 cars on display downtown Lapeer this evening at the start. So this is one of the largest car cruises we've had. And then multiply the number of attendants. So 180 cars. Big. Just wanted to share that. I meant to do that earlier.
All right, and that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Was that loud enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, I felt the soft soap on there.
I know, that was so pleasant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.